What's up, guys? Thanks for stopping back in. I apologize that this video is taking so long to get out, but fighting a cold, starting to get over it. I thought it would be better to record this a little bit later instead of trying to listen to me all nasally. Still kind of a little bit, but getting over it. Anyways, recap video on Maryland. Tomorrow, I'm hoping to get the Oregon preview, the preview video out. But yeah, I got my desktop and my monitor and everything, and I got a webcam, but I'm still trying to figure it out. So currently still on the iPad, so better quality is to come, but I'm not sure how soon. So I gotta figure all that out. Anyways, W for the Boilers. Great dub, right? 93-63. A good 30-point victory, right? And what a game it was from Fletcher Lawyer. 29 points, 7 for 10 from 3, right? We needed him to snap out of that shooting slump that he had been going through the whole month of January, pretty much, and he very much did that. It was a very big performance from him, and obviously, like we said in the preview, Maryland is a bad team. They are a bad team. I think it was pretty obvious in the way they played, but still we can take goods from this. A dub is a dub, and after having a 3-game losing streak, we had to bounce back somehow, and if Lawyer putting us on his back and coming out of this streak is what it took, then by all means, this is what we wanted to happen. We wanted to see him break out of that slump. Pretty much everybody had a good game. I thought it was all around a good game from everybody. Braden had 19. A lot of it in the first half. Our starters sat a lot of the second half. Saw a lot of Omer. Right, Omer had 18 minutes, but yeah, saw a lot of our bench guys. I thought they played pretty well overall. Yeah, everybody just played well. Defensively, I was probably most excited defensively because we were back in drop coverage. So if you go back and watch some of the games previously, Indiana, we were a little bit in drop coverage, but UCLA, Illinois, we were, our bigs are hedging that ball screen and they're coming out super high. And then we've got Clough and we've got TKR away from the rim, so it's taking away the rebounding, right? And yeah, I think part of the reason that their rebounding had been lower is because, they are up on the perimeter there, so they can't get into the paint as much, get those box outs, come back up with rebounds. But we did see us back in drop coverage, and I think, ultimately I'm not the coaching staff, and Painter knows what he's doing, but I think that's what we need to stay in. We can admit that Fletcher still can't guard anybody. He had a solid defensive game against Maryland. Again, they're bad, but neither can Clough and TKR. Trey was a fouling machine last year. Clough can be a foul machine as well. He's a big body, so keep him closer to the rim and just let him wall up. But ultimately, they're not defenders, and we know that. So having 3 not good defenders out there, and then CJ's a good defender. He's obviously a great defender for us. And then your point guard's 5'10", right? He's listed at 6 foot. There's no way. He's 5'9", 5'10". I have met the guy. I can attest. He doesn't look that tall. And yeah, I mean, and Braden's a great defender. He does a great job, but again, he gives up that size. So drop coverage allows us to kind of hide those guys a little bit more on their lack of ability to guard, because you make our guards fight over the screen more. And I mean, we got Braden, we got CJ, who are both very good athletes. There's no reason why they can't, fight over. And with CJ being a great defender as well, you want him stuck to that person's hip. this time it was Diggy Coit, right? He's their shooter. We want him when they get ball screen actions to get over that screen, stay on him, force him to those mid-range pull-ups. Wagler, we wanted him to, we didn't. Obviously, we didn't. But with a defender like CJ, you want them to fight over those screens, stay on his matchup, stop giving it up to our bigs. We saw what happened when we do that, right? They just torched us on the 3-point line. If we drop and our guards are forced to fight over, you're going to see more mid-range pull-ups. You're going to see more maybe like dump off passes, okay? But I think that's better because we're giving up wide open threes. And I think the switching and having our bigs come out on these ball screens is part of the problem of why we give up so much threes. And you might think that, why isn't that opposite? Why wouldn't that be the other way around of, well, when you drop, then they're just going to pull a three. Yeah, in an extent. Yeah, you will have a few attempts on that, but the higher that you come out on the ball screen, and yet your guard is still kind of out there, because a lot of times when we did that, it was practically a double team. It's a quick swing, and then you're late to an adjustment, and you can swing it again. And a lot of times it's corner shots or it's opposite wing shots. And we saw it with Illinois, right? At the end of the game, we did it, and then Tommy Vizich, the older brother, he hit 2 threes in a row. And then they had Mirkovic. He hit one in the corner. And that was all because we were overhedging, and then there's a swing, another swing, and you're already out of position because you got 2 guys pushed up on one. And with the drop coverage, Braden or CJ can fight over. They're on the guy's hip, okay? So it makes it harder to pull up a 3. Yeah, you're going to get more mid-range pull-ups. Live with it, right? That's a tough shot to make, and you would much rather have a 2 than a 3. We lost to Illinois because we gave up so many threes to Wagler, And then it also keeps Clough and TKR close to the basket, which allows them to rebound, which is another point I have to make that I'll get to in a little bit. Let's focus on the good, right? Like I said, Lawyer, great game. We needed him to snap out of this cold streak. I think it's something that's going to continue. And if you've been following Purdue these few years that he's been here, every year he's a top shooter in the Big Ten nationally. He's a great shooter, one of the best shooters in college basketball, arguably the best. He's going to go down as one of the best shooters, okay? And at Purdue, I think he has 30 more threes to hit to get to number 1. Credit. Carson Edwards leads that stat, and he was only there 3 years, so, but whatever. You go back and you look at his stats, again, from these last few years, he always has a month of the year where he just doesn't shoot very good. It just dips. Now, this was the worst out of all of them, but he has a month where he just takes a dip. And then every single year, he has followed it up with an incredible shooting month where he shoots like 60%. Would I much rather him have that down month in January and not February, March? Absolutely. The quality of shots that he was getting, I thought looked the same. I didn't think in the previous games, is he getting crappy shots? Is he just chucking things up? I did think you could tell that, it was getting to him, and relatively, it would get to anybody, right? You're a great shooter and it's just not falling. You're gonna feel that pressure. And especially, every year of college basketball that he's played, they've been expected to be number 1. They've been expected to be this all awesome team. That's going to get to you, regardless if you think so or not. That's going to get to somebody. And I just thought he got his swagger back, to be honest. As a fan, you love to see him hit a 3, and he's pumping up the crowd. He's showing his threes. He's getting into it. He's flexing his skinny little muscles, all of it. You want that from your players. You want to see that heart. You want to see that drive. And those are the things that I pointed out that I thought we lacked in the Indiana game and some of these other games. But previously, just this whole month for Fletcher, I think he's lacked. Even if he's hit a 3, he didn't have that that passion of what it looked like, because he was still having an off month. Yeah, he made a shot, he made 2 shots, whatever, but he's still having a whole off month. That changes when you have a game like this. You get your confidence back. You, you know, I 100% believe that he snapped out of this. Like, 29 points, 7 on 10 for 3. That's the Fletcher we know. Yes, is he still going to have games where he's 2 for 8 or something like that? Yeah, I mean, all shooters have it. That's how shooters are. But I think we can expect to see this kind of play from him, and I'm glad to have him back. I think it also just shows how much better our team is when he's shooting that way, because, you know, take TKR, take Clough when he's playing good, right? When those guys are scoring baskets down low, right, you're going to start crowding the paint. You're trying to take that shot away when Lawyer's not shooting good, right? If Lawyer is shooting good, you're going to like go to that side of the floor. I don't want to give up 3. I'd much rather give up 2. I don't want to give up 3, right? So they're going to shy over to Lawyer's side. Well, with a whole month of shooting not good, some teams are still going to take that chance. You know, is it smart? No, because career-wise, he's still a 40% shooter. But are you still like, okay, well, he's not hitting right now. I'm going to come help, make sure we don't give up an easy basket. No, right? I mean, when he's shooting like this, teams aren't going to do that. So they have to go out and guard him. It opens the floor up for everybody else. I think part of the problem, though, was that other people needed to help him out, right? Lawyer, yeah, is obviously going to draw attention when he shoots like this. When they know that he's capable of this. Coming off a game like this, I expect them to guard him better than what they did at Maryland. I expect Oregon to guard him better. I thought he got quality looks, and there was a few times where they left him. He's still a 40% shooter. You can't leave him. He's going to make it. And, yeah, I mean, I just thought it opened up our offense, made things easier for Braden, made things easier for everybody else, because when he's scoring, teams got to you know what I'm saying. They got to get over there. And, yeah, I think, who else? Braden had a good game, 19 points, only 6 assists, which, you know, you say only, that's still a good game, but I want him to get that record. I want us to win, but I want him to get that record. Yeah, and Braden was 4 for 6. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, most of those were from, I think, at least 3 of the 4 were all in the first half. But again, 27 minutes from him, 27 minutes from TKR, 27 minutes from Lawyer, which 29 points, 27 minutes, that's good. So, you know, minutes for our starters are all down. I think they'll all average at least like 34 or something like that. I know Braden averages like 36 or something like that. Pretty high. But, yeah. And, you know, I said in the preview, we got to see this team win by at least 20, out-rebound by 12, something like that. And, you know, we destroyed them on the glass. 37 rebounds to 26. So 11 rebound difference, that's still good. And TKR contributing 10 of those rebounds. I thought that opened a lot up. He only had 7 points, but he's 3 for 5, right? This is, I think I've previously said it. In our offense, we're more guard play right now. I think he does a good job of playing the off ball. I do think that we do need to have possessions where we are running that 2-man show with Braden and TKR like we did last year. Get him scoring, get him going. But with Clough beside him, that does kind of push him over a little bit. Not necessarily that Clough's going to take over all of the scoring, but just the fact that it opens up for our guard play. Swing it inside, kick it out. Both of them are capable playmakers. But yeah, it looked great for him to go up and get those rebounds. Like he had that one rebound off of Fletcher's missed free throw, kicked it back out for a Fletcher 3. So, you know, TKR, they call him Trey Kaufman rebounds. Glad to see a high rebounding game again from him. Hoping that's to stay. He is up to 8.4 rebounds per game. But yeah, hoping his rebound stays high. I believe if we stick with drop coverage, I think, if you look at our games previously leading up to our excuse me, leading up to our losing streak, we stayed in drop coverage, and that's where Clough and Trey's getting all their rebounds because they're getting to stay closer to the basket. I think if we stay closer to the basket, play our drop coverage, it's going to get better, and his rebounding is going to stay pretty consistent like that. Also had 4 assists. So, again, just showing that he's able to kick it out of there and be a playmaker from the post. What else? Defensively, I thought we played really well. I thought like I said in the preview, Diggy Coit, I think he has the most 40-point games this year from a Big Ten player. I know he had 2 at least. And he also had 30 at some point. We held him to 8, right? We only allowed him to get 6 shots up, 1 for 2 for 3, 3 rebounds, 3 turnovers. Again, he's a small player. He's like 5'10". He's smaller than Braden. But we only allowed him to get six shots up. And I think that's something that I would like to see going forward is when we played that drop coverage, our guards, CJ and Braden, were able to follow Coit and stay on him. And I think if in a game like Illinois or Wilkerson from Indiana, following shooters like that or their main guy like that, fighting over those screens, sticking on a guy like that, it definitely affects him, right? Only allowed him to get 6 shots because we were in him. I felt like even when Braden was guarding him or Jakari, everybody was up on him. Like, there was not space for him to operate. And I believe that's what's got to happen from now on in our defense. Like, we have to show that we can guard. I think one of those ways is letting our guards do that. We've got some depth. Omer's not that great of a defender, but Jakari and CJ and Braden can hold his own too, right? All 3 of them are good defenders. Let them get through that screen. Stop putting our bigs on people. That's how, they're generating so many threes. So I thought that was my biggest takeaway I thought defensively we had a lot less of defensive lapses where it looked like we were in the right space majority of the time. And again, part of that has to do with Maryland being so bad. But you have to know how to be. You have to come into these games. Yeah, you know that they're bad. We should win by a lot. But you still have to do it, right? You can't just come into the game and automatically win, right? We saw what that happened with Indiana. But I thought we executed. We did a good job. And like I said, Coit was the biggest key factor going into the game. Hey, don't let this guy score. And we didn't. We held him to 8 and made the other guys beat you, right? We got Saunders fouled out like 2 minutes after halftime or something. Or I think there was like 5 minutes into the halftime. Or, sorry, the second half. Excuse me. That made a difference. Saunders being one of their knockdown shooters. What did they shoot? They shot 6 of 17 from 3. So, not great, not awful either. But, who was it? Adams. Adams had 2. Both of them being in a row. And both of them were very tough contests. I didn't think any of their shots like that were wide open shots. Adams had that one like double clutch off a screen, goes in. What are you supposed to do about that? He had a step back as well. Whatever. But Diggy Coit was their main subject. He was their main goer of their offense, gets them going, the one that does majority of their scoring. And we shut him down and make other people beat you. Yeah, there are other teams where role players are better. You can't always, you have to play good defensively all around. And I thought we did, but it makes a difference when you take somebody completely out of the game, especially somebody, Coit's caliber. pretty good player. And we also held up, I mean, like I said, they were not good passing team. They only had 5 assists. So we got to take this with a grain of salt, but I think it's a step in the right direction. We did exactly what we needed to do. We didn't turn the ball over too much, and at the beginning of the game, we started off with the turnover, so I was a little nervous. But offensively, our offense was, it was going 50% from three, 53% from the field, 18 assists, which is, I believe, 2 under our average. But, it's an improvement from what we've seen, and I think it's a step in the right direction. I think another big takeaway from it is we saw that passion, that heart back, especially, coming from Lawyer, hitting shots. We saw his swagger come back. But just from the team in general, I thought it looked a lot better compared to these last few games, which is what you need to see, especially, we're in February, getting ready for March. March is the big time. But I think, a step in the right direction, especially coming into what our schedule looks like. It is a little nervous because we play 2, cakewalk teams, and then we go into play Nebraska. So, I want us to play good basketball against these teams and show that we can still hang, but we still have to, go into Nebraska and, ultimately play some of our best basketball. Nebraska is a good team. They have fallen twice now, though, so there's hope. But I would say one of our improvements in the past 6 games, I believe. Let me see here. Yeah, in the past 6 games, Clough has been, in my opinion, our focal point of something that needs to improve. Obviously, our defense has been something that needed to improve. I thought it got better against Maryland. Again, they're bad, so we need to see that against a good team. But we brought Clough in to rebound, right? I think part of it was scheme, where he's away from the basket. It's harder for him to get rebounds. But in these last 6 games, he's had 3 rebounds, 6 rebounds, 4 rebounds, 4 rebounds, 6 rebounds, and 4 rebounds. So, we bring him in here to do that one thing, and he's not coming in and, and that was in 23 minutes to play, 24 minutes to play, 29, 19, 19. So, obviously, he played less in this game. Part of it just doing, hey, we're sitting our starters. Let's not get people hurt. But in a game of an undersized team as Maryland, and when Saunders gets fouled out, he's one of the bigger players, with 15 minutes left in the second half, and we only end up with 3 rebounds. That's not something that is good. TKR with 10, so obviously that's an improvement. But when we need TKR to score, we need Clough to be able to rebound. And if he's only bringing in 3 a game, that's not going to cut it. That's, if he can't rebound, we can't play 2 bigs, because he is in there to rebound. If he's not, I don't know, because there's been times throughout the season where Clough is our scorer instead of TKR. We have seen these games where Clough is scoring more and TKR is going out to rebound. But when we are at our best, it's the opposite. When Clough is scoring, but we need him to bring in rebounds as well, and not just opposite of TKR rebounding, Clough scoring. We brought him in to rebound, and if he's not rebounding, it's really hard to play him because he's really bad defensively. And to play him when he's not doing the one thing that we brought him in to do is putting Painter in a really bad position, because if he's not rebounding, he's not doing much for the team if he's also not scoring, because he gives up so much on defense, as well as TKR, but TKR is rebounding right now. He is scoring when we need him to. You kind of see, if he can't do that, then do you go small? Do you play Benner more? Stuff like that. I do think he's going to snap out of it, but something that, going into some of these big games, as in, Michigan State, Nebraska, where they've got bigs, where they've got guys that'll rebound, if he's not doing that job, he's giving up too much defensively. What do you do, right? So we'll see how that goes. I think it is going to get better. But, we got a game Saturday against Oregon. I do believe they are also at the bottom of the Big Ten. Maryland is third to last. I think they might have gone up a little bit. And Oregon is right there with them. They're either second to last or third to last. They keep moving. But something that I was looking at are KenPom ratings. So I know Kedrick brought it up in the Indiana game. We are still one of the most efficient offenses. So we are actually ranked second behind Illinois right now with 129.3, which is, like I said, ranked second nationally. So we are doing pretty well on that. And then defensive efficiency, we have gone up. We're at 26, so not bad. But if you look at the national title winners in the last couple years, the differential between the offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency is a little bit closer of a gap. So we do need to see that get better. I'm hoping, in these Nebraska games, stuff like that, in these bigger games, that we see an improvement, not just against teams like Oregon and Maryland. But we're currently 9th on KenPom, which we started the season, and early on in the season we were top 2. Currently behind UConn, Florida, Houston, Illinois, Iowa State, Duke, Arizona, Michigan. So obviously we're in good talkings, but actually we're above Michigan State right now, which is pretty nice, as they just fell to Minnesota last night. But yeah, overall a good game. What else can I talk about? Jacobson. I thought we saw some really good minutes out of Jacobson. I thought he was in positioning wise, he just looked better. What was it? The Indiana game, he had that one possession where Trey got screened and he kind of came out and hedged and then just stayed there. And they were both guarding, but he's not quite at the ball handler. So just kind of no man's land, and then gets backdoored, wide open layup or dunk. I thought it looked a lot better. I thought he looked better than Clough in this Maryland game. Not just because he, scored more, but he just looked like he was in better position. We did see him hit a 3, which I'm not saying that I want him to consistently go out and shoot it, but if he's wide open, I think he's like 5 for 8 or something like that. Shoot the 3. I know teams are going to say that, that's the shot we'd rather give up. But if they see it go in a few times, they have to, adjust to that. And then, we can draw them out, get inside shots with TKR or just back cuts in general. But overall, I thought he had a good game. I thought his positioning was well. He was just in the right spots when he needed to be, which is something that we needed to see him improve on. Again, it's against a lower level team, but it's still improvement. And we saw that from Chikari as well. 12 points, 3 for 7. So it wasn't the most efficient game. 2 for 5 from 3. But I thought he played well defensively. Obviously, he had that breakaway dunk, which was, a lot of people are saying the highlight of the game. But so good to see him get some confidence. And again, like I said, our kind of lower end players of the night was Oscar, CJ, and Benner. But, CJ, he played 18 minutes. He had 1 point, 0 for 2. I think with CJ, it's a night-to-night basis, and not on the fact of that can he score. I just feel like he takes the right shots, and he didn't feel like he needed to shoot in this game. He played well defensively, had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, did his job when he was guarding Coit. just one of those games where, we didn't need him offensively as much. I think he is just a smart player and realized that, so he didn't try to force anything. And Benner was 0 for 3. He didn't play as much as I anticipated. I thought we were going to see maybe a smaller lineup at times and see him play. He only played 13 minutes. So it is hard. It's kind of like one of those positions that we put Colvin and Heidi in last year, where they get inconsistent minutes. I would expect in a game like this where we're not playing a good team for Benter to play more. But I'm not the coaching staff. But I'm not too worried about 0 for 3 for Benner. We've seen him play this season, and he's been shooting the lights out. So I'm not too worried on that aspect. As well with CJ, my biggest concern is Oscar. I'm hoping that gets better, because if it doesn't, things could get bad, because we can't run Trey at the 5 again. But if he can't, if Clough can't rebound, he's not doing us any good being out there. We did see Omer for 18 minutes as well. 9 points, 3 for 6, hit a 3. The offense looks a lot different when he's out there. I think he's definitely looking to get his shot, and I do like his dribble pull-up. I think it looks very clean. So I'm not too upset about it, but the offense does run a little bit different when he's in there compared to Braden. But, yeah, overall, just a great game for us. Definitely the confidence booster that we needed on this time. But played well both ends of the floor, and I think that's what we needed to see. And I'm hoping to see a similar outcome to this Oregon game. Like I said, I should get a video out tomorrow about it. But yeah, I'm hoping to get my stuff transferred over to the desktop and figure out how to record on there and stuff. So hoping to be able to get, more to that and get better details and stuff. But again, sorry that this was late, but thanks for tuning in. Be ready for the preview for the Oregon game tomorrow.